Once again, guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. Welcome to Add Maths plus Maths. I will be dealing with another lesson in differentiation, which is small increments and approximations. Okay, what do we mean by small increments and approximation? Okay, I am going to recall to you what does it mean by a tangent. Okay. But before that tangent, let's say that a point P has the coordinates. Always remember that coordinates of a point is always x, y. So let's say point P has that coordinate. Okay? X, y. Now, as this point P moves going to the point Q, okay, there will be changes in the value of the x and the changes in the value of the y. Thus, let's represent that. Okay, those changes that will happen, for example, from P to Q, there is a change. So Q, if P is x, if P is xy, okay, Q now will be, okay, if the change in the value of the x is represented by this. Okay, this is read as a small increment of x. So there will be an increase of the value of the x. Okay, we are not talking about decrease over here, but we are talking about the increase. Okay, that's what it means by increment. Increment means increase. So it means I'm going to add x by the small increment of x. So add it with the small increment of x. Okay? Then, the y coordinate of the q will be y. Then you add the small increment in y. Okay? Plus a small increment of y. Okay? So, this is the value or the coordinates of the Q. Okay. Now, what are we going to do about all those things that I have put in? Okay. So, if P is xy, Q is x plus a small increment of x, comma, y plus a small increment of y. What does those points mean? So if you notice, I've drawn here a right triangle, okay, and I have here what you call a chord. Okay, in a circle, in your circle lessons in your mathematics, your basic mathematics, a line that is connected by 2 points on the circle, okay, or a line segment that is connected by 2 points on the circle is a chord. Okay, so this chord, if you're going to notice, is a line also. Okay, so since it is a line, it has what you call, if this is a graph, okay, it has what you call gradient. Okay, remember when we talk about gradient, okay, let's recall about gradient first. Gradient is always defined as rise over run. Okay? What is rise over run? Basically, if you have from point P to point Q, okay, your rise is the small increment in y. So it will be a small increment of y. Okay? And your run, okay, you rise and then you run. Remember, from here to this will be also increment of x, or a small increment of x, or a small increase in the value of the x. So it means this is gradient, the gradient of PQ, or the chord PQ in this certain graph. Now, since I know that the gradient is a small increment in y over a small increment in x, Okay. In our past lessons, okay, remember that, okay, I've told you that gradient is also equivalent to, okay, gradient is also equivalent to dy over dx. What is dy over dx? If you recall and go back to our previous videos, dy over dx is, okay, what is dy over dx? It is the differentiation of the curve. So the differentiation of the curve here. Now, since gradient is equal to small increment in y over small increment of x, and also gradient is equal to dy over dx, okay, at a certain point, point P and point Q, but we are only considering point P over here because that's the original value of x and y. Now, what is the idea that you will get from these two? The idea that you will get from those two is that, okay, the small increment of y, okay, the small increment of y over a small increment in x, okay, is equivalent to dy over dx. Okay, it's just like the gradient is equal to this and the gradient is equal to this. Therefore, the small increment of y over small increment of x is equal to the dy over dx. So this is basically what we are going to study today. Okay? The small increment of y over small increment of x is equivalent to dy over dx. Or vice versa, dy over dx is equal to small increment of y over small increment of x. Now, to further understand this, I am going to give you examples. Okay? Let's erase all the notes. Okay, I have already removed all the notes. Let's do the example. Variables x and y are connected by the equation y is equal to x cubed plus x squared. Find the approximate increase in y as x increases from 2 to 2.05. So if you notice, and we are going to study this example, okay, it is saying that there is an increase of x. What is that increase of x? From 2 to 2.05, 2.05 minus 2 will give you 0.05. So the small increase in x, remember this is read as a small increase in y over a small increase in x, means a small increment of y over a small increment in x. Thus, a small increment of x will be 0.05. Okay? Next, what is the value of the x? The value of the x is, the original value of the x is 2. Okay, so that's the value of the x. Now, how will you solve for the increase or the approximate increase in y? So what is missing over here is this part. Okay, so how do you do that? How will you do this? Okay, so definitely we are just going to solve this problem by getting the value of, or getting dy over dx of this. Okay, so dy over dx is equivalent now to 3x squared plus 2x. Okay, so that's dy over dx. But remember, dy over dx, okay, will become the gradient if, okay, if and only if you replace this one with the value of the x. So what is the value of the x? It is the first value of the x, which is 2. It just became 2.05 because there is a small increment of x, which is 0.05. Okay? So, basically, we will change this x with 2. So, 3 times 2 squared plus 2 times 2, which is 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 12 plus 4 is 16. So dy over dx, the value of dy over dx now is 16. So 16 is equal now to the small increment in y, which is missing, over the small increment of x. Small increment of x is equal to 2.05 minus 2, which is 0.05. So 0.05. So the small increment of y is equivalent now to 0.05 times 16. By the way, okay, I am not supposed to be using equal sign over here because it's just an approximation. So sorry. Okay, it's just an approximation. Okay, so this is supposed to be an approximation only. Okay. Okay. So the small increment of y is approximately 0.05 times 16 because you want to isolate small increment of y. So 16 times 0.05 is 0.8. Our answer. Okay, now let's move to another example. Let's try to see what are the applications that is related to this lesson. Okay, example. So you can see the volume of V centimeter cube of a sphere with radius r is basically the volume. Okay. Find in terms of P, the approximate change in V as R increases from 10 to 10 plus P. Okay. So what you are going to do is that you are going to find the small increment in V. What is a small increment of V? Small increment of V is written as this, small increment of V. So this is what you are going to look for. And you know that a small increment of R, a small increment of R is equivalent to what? Okay, let's study again the sentence. It says, find in terms of P, the approximate changes in V as R increases from 10 to 10 plus P. So from 10 to 10 plus P. So you have added a P. And when you have added something to a number, and that is the increment of that number. So it means the increment is basically P. Okay? So the small increment of R is equal to P. Next, remember that dV over dr can be taken from this. And it is approximately equivalent to, okay, small increment of V over small increment of R, which is P. Okay, now, what is dV over dr? dV over dr now is, you see, pi is also a constant, so I don't care about that. So it means 3 times this, okay, which is now, okay, dV over dr is equivalent now to, okay, dV over dr is equivalent now to 4 pi r squared. Why r squared? Because 3 minus 1 is 2. Okay, so that is dV over dr. Okay? Next, what is r? What is the starting number for r? You see, approximate changes in V as r increases. From what? From 10. So, the starting value of the r is 10. So, it means r will be 10 over here. So, it will become equals to 4 pi times 10 squared. So, it is basically 400 pi. Okay? You wanted to make it this decimal, it's okay, it's up to you. Okay? But it would be better you write it. Anyway, you know that pi does not have any ending. Just write it as pi so that you don't get confused. Okay? Now, what is the small increment in r? It is p. Okay? So it means 400 pi, okay, is equivalent now to the small increase in v over p. Thus, a small increase in v, okay, I will multiply both sides by p, which is 400 pi p. Our answer. Okay? Thank you very much for watching this short video and a short lesson. I hope you have understood and you have learned something. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends so that they will also learn mathematics, and click that bell button to be updated with our new videos regarding mathematics and additional mathematics.